The state of the F1 24 game. Let's talk about it, because it wasn't an ideal start to the game cycle, let's be real. It was a bit rough, you know, with creators, esports drivers, and myself, and all of you who have now played it at launch, having gripes with the handling first and foremost, but also now quite a few bugs at the moment that we're finding out as we play more and more of the game, especially if you get into like season 1 of the career mode, especially like delving into it. Now, although Cody's and EA have said that the handling is being looked at, that's the main focus of the, first patch we're going to be getting to this game, and I'll be going more into detail about that in the second half of this video. There are other, like I said, other general gameplay issues and bugs for me that are just as important. Like, I almost feel like in a way now we're all talking about handling a bit too much, because there are other issues like with the AI, like just the way the AI actually race, that is fundamentally kind of making the game less fun than it should be in career mode, which is one of the biggest changes to the game. And it's unfortunate that, it's being all the new features are being overshadowed kind of by the experience of race day, because the AI, it needs work, and it's as important, in my opinion, as handling. Obviously, others will disagree, but that's because I'm playing it as a career mode person, so that's equally as important to me. And I wanted to make a video on this because I think it's important to acknowledge those issues away from the handling, which has already been mentioned and it's already been worked on. That's all well and good. But the other issues, I wanted to kind of publicly acknowledge that I know those issues, I'm well aware of them, I'm not just plodding along and ignoring them, especially with the platform I have is one of the larger career mode creators that play single player. I think it's important to hold the developers accountable, and I did the exact same thing last year, if you remember, when I absolutely just went off and had my rant, when my team received 0 updates. And I think it's important for me to be frank when I'm disappointed and stuff, because, vice versa, I'm also unapologetically positive when I'm looking forward to things and I genuinely have hope for things, which maybe rubs people the wrong way sometimes. If you've watched me for years, you'll know I always reset my mind going to any new F1 game cycle, as I've always done this, from the start, from, 12 years ago now, whatever. I've always gone into it with a fresh slate. Forget what happened in the last game cycle. Let's go into it. Let's actually try and get excited, What's the point of being a negative Nancy going into a game cycle before the games even, come out, So, yeah, and looking at F1 24 gameplay, before I had turned the wheel with it, it looked pretty promising, and all the new features to career mode are actually still very promising. We just need to get past the bugs. But anyway, I digress. What I mean is, because I'm so positive in that aspect, I think it's important then for me to be the opposite and frank when I am then disappointed in things that come about, basically. So I am disappointed in the bugs right now, but I will counter that with, speaking to people at EA. They know a lot of the issues, thankfully, now, and are actively working on them to fix them. So once things are fixed, I think arguably F1 24 is genuinely in a better spot than the previous game, especially with the career mode stuff. We actually have now new things to play around with. It's a very nice new vibe with driver career mode, and especially for career mode lovers. This arguably, once they fixed all the bugs that are plaguing the career mode and like races in general, and the handling maybe is in a bit of a better state, it is genuinely a step in the right direction. But yeah, to kick off the discussion, in general, it definitely seems like for career mode, not enough kind of testing was just done for the game past the first few races. I think AI are really unbalanced track to track. Some tracks, their ERS management is just godlike out of corners, and it feels like almost like that F1 22 issue we had at the start of that game cycle, where they were incredible out of corners, and it was just like, what am I meant to do? And in general, they're incredibly hard to catch. Like, once you make an overtake, you kind of get stuck in the pack that you were in fighting, and it's hard to break away and chase after the next pack that is coming along. And yes, I get it, if you're not in the right car, then, where you get, there might be a certain point in the race where that's where you're meant to be, and that's fair enough. But when you have the pace, or when you should have the pace to go and chase after another pack down the road, you just don't have that. And speaking of packs, the way the AI bunch up right now is really, really poor. And the issue of the player not being able to break away from AI and chase after someone once they've overtaken them, whatever reason that is, that's also linked to why I think the AI also have that. They're bunched up in these little clumps. You'll see on the minimap, there's like 3 different clumps of them in the races. Now, to be fair, for the P1 battle, that's actually quite good in a weird way, because the top fight battle for the race win stays quite close between 3-4 drivers. But in terms of realism, it's just completely frustrating to see, because the races aren't strung out like, realistic F1, races, Grand Prix, where there's little, maybe there's a few packs, but you've also got some people in no man's land trying to catch people up, or, just generally, there isn't, and not even clumps. Some races, you would have seen it maybe at Miami when I was quite slow. It was like a train of like 15 cars. And it's like, how are none of these AI, breaking out of them, basically? And yeah, I don't know what the full reason is, whether it's with ERS or tire wear or, whatever, I don't know. Away from that, a separate issue is the AI just aren't very racy and don't go for overtakes, like hardly. Like they might go for an overtake in a straight line, like in a dead straight line with DRS with massive overspeed, but there's no dive bombs. There's no kind of going for it, even in a subtle curve like 130R. They back out of it very, very easily. And yeah, there's no moves down the inside like they used to do on F123, which means also there's not many mistakes. There's not many mistakes coming from those moments where they overshoot it and try and go for a move, or because they're not battling each other and hitting each other. Maybe there's no mistakes, and that means also that safety cars and red flags are very, very rare right now. It's even if you put it up to increased. Like, I was shocked that in a recent Monaco episode, I even got a safety car and a red flag. But to be fair, it's also because the track was completely blocked. But on F123, I think it was in a really good place where if there was a car awkwardly parked off circuit, it was realistic for there to be a safety car, because in real life, that would be a safety car. Just because it's a game, it doesn't mean that it shouldn't be, because we're trying to go for that realism of pretending it's a real driver, pretending there's real danger, and putting that safety car out, because it should be like that if we're trying to mimic real life. So yeah, in general, the AI, they've taken a step back. It really needs to go back to what it was in F123. I always said this throughout the entire game cycle. It's a shame that a lot of people got so burned with how bad F122 ended up, because a lot of people just didn't play F123 then, because they felt so distrusted in the F1 franchise from F122, which is a massive shame, because the AI were great. They were so aggressive, punchy, realistic, and it's such a shame now that we've seemingly taken like 6 years of a step back, like back to how they were in like F1 2018 and F1 2017. So really hope that is being looked at. I've been told it is getting looked at, but maybe I think the focus will be majorly on the handling, which, to be fair, might fix the AI issues, because the AI, they race based off the handling model. So maybe if the handling model is tweaked, maybe it will fix things, but we'll see. So those are the major AI issues, basically, where we've just lost every sense of, like, that fun factor that was in F123 consistently, race after race. Away from that, other kind of game-breaking bugs, really, is obviously you've seen the wet weather issue at the moment, which is, you're put on dries when it's wet. The entire grid is on dries, and the AI will never pit for wet tires, no matter how long the race is. I don't know how that one slips through the net. I don't believe that issue was in the preview build, but the problem is with the preview build, we only got, 3 days to play the preview build and upload videos. So no one was going to ever try a wet race to go play it, because also we were limited to 2 videos, which were, 20 minutes long? So no one in their right mind is going to waste their time on doing like a random wet race when there are bigger things to look at with career mode, for example, or just generally first handling impressions. So I don't know if it was in the preview build, but I just don't know in general how it slipped through the net, basically. And then with that, in my Imola episode, you saw that the simulation then of the tire model was also completely off and broken then, because even though it was wet, my intermediates, when I pit for inters, were overheating to brick red and couldn't be cooled down no matter what you did. No matter you weaving offline to try and cool them, nothing. And yet the AI drivers were plodding along on dries, and because they're AI, they're pin pin perfect, so on the traction and everything. So they weren't even that slow. Like, I would set 2 seconds of a lap quicker on the intermediates, initially, but then they would overheat to the point where they ended up being slower than the dries in a very wet race. So yeah, that's a big problem, because anytime you have rain then in career mode, your race is cooked basically, and that's going to obviously be a major issue for a lot of people, because you just never know when rain will come up in the career mode basically. Also, there were issues that I highlighted in my getting fired video with the ratings system, with the focus glitching up to 99 and the pace not being assessed properly in the races. But I do have good news of those specific things are definitely being looked at and will, I think, be fixed in the next patch. So that's at least a positive, that issue is going to be fixed. And then I'm not too sure, there might be other bugs that I'm not even aware of. So let me know in the comments below of other bugs that you have come across in the, in your general play of career mode and such, in the comments, because I'm sure someone from EA will be watching this. So hopefully they've watched this far and they know to now scroll down to the comments and see for any other bugs, because I'm only one man, one man playing the game. We kind of need everyone to chip in with, if they find a bug, trying to let Cody's and EA know. Especially with that, the forums are really good for the EA help to kind of flag issues like that so that they can be looked at, basically. And with that, I'm going to move on to actually looking at the forum for the patch, basically, because what they do now, and they've been doing this, to be fair, for the last, I think, 2 F1 games, which have been very good, to be fair, is they explicitly say what issues are being investigated and what are already solved and are just awaiting the next patch to be installed into the game. So this is what's being investigated at the moment. Unable to open the radio comms on the Xbox, unable to use ERS in certain circumstances. Didn't even know that was a thing. So this is what I mean by I'm only one man. I can't experience every single bug. Excessively long AI DRS trains. I think they need to tweak that to ERS trains as well. I think the ERS is a big problem with that. And also engine temperatures. I think the way I overheat my engine at the moment in career mode, I reckon the AI are all overheating their engines in these trains, and then they can't have the extra power to actually make the overtake. So I think that needs to be changed to long AI, DRS, ERS, engine temperature trains, because I think all 3 of them are contributing to that. Customization to on-screen display, OSD aren't being saved. Again, not too sure about that one, but unusual collisions during multiplayer races, invisible bump at turn 13, Spain. I haven't got to Spain yet in my career mode, so I haven't experienced that myself. Replay audio doesn't match on-screen visuals. I have experienced that one. Sometimes the audio just doesn't match the subtitles. My team unable to proceed after 1.5 seasons. That's kind of crazy, actually, to be honest, thinking about it. But again, it's because no one's testing it enough. Like, no one's testing the game enough, basically, I think, because clearly they've thought, oh, most people will play driver career mode, so we don't need to test out my team after 1.5 seasons. You've got wheels not being recognized on the PC, which is a bit of a shame. And then some other ones about like the F1 theme song, wheel correct not working, whatever. We're going to move on to, maybe one that people might care about is Haas and Ferrari using the same color on the timing board and minimap. Yeah, right now I thought, to be fair, Haas needs to be white on the minimap instead of red. It's kind of confusing sometimes. But then here we go, a waiting patch. So this is the thing. So these are the things that actually have been fixed, and it's just basically a case of once the patch comes in, they'll be fixed with it. So thank God, wet weather tire compounds unavailable, incorrect in certain conditions are going to be fixed. Lack of AI triggered mistakes, DNFs, yellow flags in career mode will be fixed. I think they need to continue to work on the AI. That's not going to be enough. I think they need to continue to work on them in terms of being aggressive enough, going for moves, making dive bombs, actually being more lifelike like they were in F1 23. But that's a good start. Marginal increase in speed when partially driving onto the grass, which I saw on X, which was something which is a bit mad. Here's these two, funny enough, are literally specifically from my career mode video of getting fired. Focus stat rolling back to 99 incorrectly, pace stat increasing incorrectly, and then this one, 2-player career mode becoming unresponsive in menus. That's a big one for anyone playing co-op, basically. And I know actually from fellow creator Tome that in 2-player career mode at the moment, the second player doesn't get a say in the R&D and doesn't get put against you in recognition, which I thought the whole point of co-op career having the same features as driver career mode would be. If your two teammates, you would be going up against each other with R&D, and you'd be going up against each other in recognition. So that absolutely, that's like a fundamental way co-op career works. That needs to be addressed ASAP as well in a patch, because that's the whole point of how that system is meant to work. You're not meant to be working together against your own team. You're meant to be working together against each other, but also maybe together. That's the dynamic you have to kind of play up with the person you're playing. Are you going to try and vie for supremacy in your own team, or will you genuinely just work together and try and both choose the same upgrades? So those are like the general issues with AI, bugs, etc. And I just felt like it was important for it to all be acknowledged, you know, to the point where you don't think that I'm just ignoring them in my career mode videos when I continue playing the series. I'm not. It's just a case of, you know, this is what I do. I make career mode videos, so I'm not going to just stop playing it. But I acknowledge all these issues, and they need to be solved. And thankfully, quite a few of them are already underway for investigation. But if there are any others, let me know in the comments below, basically. But now, let's move on to the handling. Handling. Everything's been about the handling to the point where I feel like it's being over talked about now, and we're ignoring other major issues of the game. But, to be fair, in a racing game, handling is very, very important. There's no doubting that, but I just think AI is also as important for career mode especially. This is good news. The handling is getting a patch as soon as they can finalize it. I believe whatever this next patch is where those issues I just showed you are being solved, the handling is coming in with that. You know, it takes time sometimes because they need to retrain the AI with the handling, and then with any patch, if you don't know, they have to always sign it off with PlayStation, with Xbox, with Steam, and then they can put it out onto the market. So it does take a little bit of time with red tape, but they are trying as quickly as possible to get this patch done. And in terms of the changes for the patch, I've got like an official party line from EA about what's being changed. So these are the changes: fixed tire model response to rapidly changing slip angle and ratio, adjusted slip curves for post-peak fall-off, load sensitivity, and camber effects to work with the slip response fix. That's more about the actual overdoing it on the turn, I think. Tire thermal model adjustments for high temperature behavior. So again, with the actual temperatures, and hopefully that will solve things like with the inters problem and stuff like that. ABS traction control and gamepad controls tuned to better suit the new tire model. Improved power unit balance in 7th and 8th gear. I kind of felt that in a little bit of a way. Like, it kind of felt like we needed more gear and power in 7th and 8th gear because you're always maxing out. And this continues on with gear ratios matched to 2024 race data from teams. That was another thing of like, yeah, it did feel like the gear ratios were a bit off because you were maxing out so quickly in 8th gear, basically. And also generally in gears, you were maxing out so quickly. Revised suspension kinematics to better reflect 2024 car designs. Performance of several teams adjusted to fit results. So this is away from the handling. This is more about the actual performances. Basically a performance update of the 2024 season up to including the Monaco Grand Prix. So the next patch is actually going to immediately bring us in line with the real life performances of the teams, which is pretty good actually. It's the first time they brought the performances so quickly to the game. So I'll give good props to that. That's good, because usually it takes us like 3 months to see the first proper performance patch. So that's very good. And then ERS bug fix for the MGUK torque and new calibration of hot lap mode energy use at all tracks, because actually I noticed it a little bit as well, to be fair. Hot lap mode just didn't work as efficiently as it should have and effectively as it should have, and it meant that in qualifying especially you could gain a massive advantage on AI by just overusing the overtake button, because hot lap mode did not do enough as it should have done, basically. And it's all well and good naming all these changes, but you know, who knows if they tangibly work? Well, I can actually say I've actually got to try the new handling patch a bit early, and for me, it's fixed a lot of the low-speed twitchiness. Like, it felt like a lot more stable. And right now, you're seeing gameplay from the new patch. Like, I've legit actually been able to, been allowed to capture gameplay from the new patch. And you'll see in parts where, at Spa especially, at the bus stop chicane, pre the patch, there was always that low speed twitchiness, like way too sensitive, and my car would just snap straight away as soon as you got into the bus stop chicane. That's now been mellowed out because the car now feels a lot more stable in lower speed corners. The general sensitivity has been toned down. I've yet to try the handling in a full race distance to see the tire temperature changes, ERS, and general AI improvements, because of course I'm still daily recording career mode, and doing a whole another race that won't even see the light of day is quite time consuming, but I'm hoping that it's a step in the right direction. And with things like the AI mistakes and stuff being acknowledged, I'm hoping that will be a good step to having more fun career mode races as we go on, basically. But at the same time, and the things that I like about the handling, by the way, which for me now, I know I said the turn-in was really odd. I'm not even going to lie. Now I kind of really like the sharp turn-in because it actually feels like you have grip and downforce. And I've gotten used to it. And with the new handling patch, it just mellows it out ever so slightly. So it's not so like pointy like I'm on a controller but driving a wheel. It actually feels a bit more stable. But I will say, as much as that low speed twitchiness has been fixed for me, and the stability on low speed's better, and generally it feels just a bit more manageable and not so odd, it's still obviously very different from what we had in F1 23. And to that point as well of maybe going to extremes, I've seen esports drivers still saying the handling's not good, basically, and there's still many issues. And being honest, I'm basically probably not fast enough or pushing the limits of the handling model enough to notice that. Like, being completely truthful, you know, especially from the last career mode episode, Monaco, I've actually gotten used to this current handling to the point where if you told me I had to drive this handling model for the next year, I could deal with it. I've got used to it. Yes, it is odd. Yes, it's very different from last year, but I've gotten used to it. But again, it's because the way I drive, obviously, I'm trying to go the best I can. Obviously, I'm trying to go as quick as I can, but it's always within the comfort zone, I feel, of the handling model. Like, I am driving as if how an F1 car appears to be driven in real life. Like, I'm not gonna intentionally stab at the steering wheel like this. That's not my natural thought process, because I'm not trying to be competitive with someone else and trying to gain every single tenth. I'm just trying to go quicker and try and gain some time versus AI cars and try and have a nice realistic career mode race. So my mind's just not hardwired to try and exploit the handling. Like, it's just not in my brain. Whereas an esports driver and league racers, their brains are tuned to, I need to get maximum performance out of this handling model. Whereas, you know, I'm going for, I want to try and get the maximum out of this car as a way an F1 driver would actually drive. Whereas they, for obvious reasons, are going to push the absolute limit. So that's where my opinion kind of gets a bit murky. And, you know, if any esports drivers are watching or whatever, I'm fully, you know, going with you guys are the experts of, you know, where the handling model's at, because you're going to always test it to the max. I'm never going to test it to the max because I don't play like that. I literally don't play like that. But having said that, even with the new patch, there are even things that I can see that I can agree with the esports drivers that are still needing work with when it comes to things like the setup work and like tire pressures and temperatures that I know that Jarno recently has pointed out. Like, it just makes no logical sense if you know anything about physics and engineering. So I agree with him on stuff like that, and other drivers with the slip angle and you know, still be able to go flat in certain corners that you don't get to go flat in real life, basically. But there is that general, you know, difference of, I'm never going to play the game like an esports driver plays it. I have no desire to, like, you know, I don't actually have any desire to go that quick and exploit the handling that quick, because then career mode would be ruined for me, because the way you enjoy career mode is still playing within the realms of what the career mode AI can do and not being out and out as quick as possible, basically. But that's just me, because I enjoy the single player. I've never bought the F1 game to go quick, to go be competitive. You know, I bought it to, you know, play a realistic career mode in the opening seasons, then a bit of chaos and fun in the later seasons. And that's, you know, that's why I bought it, you know, being completely honest, in terms of, so that's where that difference maybe of where the handling is. So in terms of like the handling needing more work, I'm sure it does. So please, esports drivers, keep telling the devs feedback about it because, I'm just a mere mortal. I don't know. But yeah, that's the state of F1 24 right now. It's a shame right now, and to be honest, this isn't just the F1 game. There's a whole culture right now in gaming as of right now of games, because games are so live service now, even like the single player ones. It means that a lot of games release with bugs that just get fixed in the live service. Whereas before, when you shipped a game, that was sometimes kind of it. Like the devs would never bring a patch to it. So it's not just like an F1 thing. I notice it in other games that I follow, or like I watch creators and they're bemoaning their game having glitches, and it's kind of like a gaming thing right now, unfortunately, because they're so heavy focus on live service, where, you can maybe release a game and not test it fully. And it's a shame because, like I said at the top of the video, genuinely, if they fix these issues, I think arguably F1 24 is in a better spot, especially for us career mode players. Like, it's a step in the right direction with the new additions for career mode. All they need to do is give me the AI from F1 23 back, give me those back, and then we have a banging career mode. Like, literally a banging career mode with the new features, the new recognition system, the new everything. It'd be great. We need to iron out these bugs, get the handling sorted, let the esports guys fight that out, obviously after the first patch. But for me, probably once the first patch comes in, I can crack on happily and say I'm enjoying F1 24. It's like solid now for the rest of the year. We just need to then iron out any bugs that keep on occurring. And then, like I said, I think the AI probably will still need work after the first patch, but we'll hopefully get there and get the AI back to a point where they were like they were in F1 23, which was arguably the best AI in an F1 game ever. And I literally will disagree with anyone saying otherwise, because have you played over 100 episodes of career mode? You haven't. I've played a lot of career mode. I've been playing a lot of career mode for 12 plus years. I can tell you the AI on the last game were genuinely the best AI we've ever seen in an F1 game. And if you can't see that, you're just being negative for just no reason, for the sake of it. So as long as we get back to that, coupled with the new improvements we've seen with this year's game, just iron out those bugs as well that are kind of taking away and detracting from the new features, then I'm going to be happy in a good spot. But we'll see how it goes. The patch needs to actually come in, and then we'll actually see what's what, basically. But yeah, that's been my pretty open and honest chat about the state of the game. If you guys did enjoy the video at least, then be sure to hit the like button. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. If you're new around here, then do get subscribed for weekly Formula 1 content. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.